All right. Seems like we have 25 for now. And I think I'd like to welcome all of you for this session. Is the paper presentation session number 2. And today is the third day of the conference. Okay. The session will last about 1.5 hours. And then we have 3 paper presentations. All right. Let's get started with the first paper. Okay, let's welcome Professor Karst de Jong. Okay, welcome Chen, Zhangyi, and Ling Khoo.
Hi.
Hi. Let's give a big applause to them, and I will hand the microphone to them so they can introduce yourself a little bit. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in today. Today's topic is getting to the heart of why students struggle, and it studies motivation in conservatory music students. It's presented by myself, Chen, Zhangyi, and Karst Jong. I'm Ling, and I'm a lecturer of contextual studies at the Yong Conservatory of Music, where I also teach professional development modules. Maybe I'll invite my co-presenters to introduce themselves as well.
Thank you, Ling. Yes, my name is Karst de Jong. I'm a visiting professor here at YST in Singapore. And in the past few years, that has been more or less one semester per year. The other semester I spent in Europe, where I have been teaching already for 25 years, mostly music theory, and my specialty is improvisation. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Zhangyi, and I'm an assistant professor at Yong and I mostly do the theory and composition activities here at YST. And I'm a composer, and I play a bit of Baroque viola. So, Ling, would you?
Yep. So this paper is basically a case study at the Yong Conservatory of Music. It was observed that quite a number of students may be proficient instrumentalists, but they fared poorly in oral skills, theory, as well as music history. Now, they were proficient instrumentalists in that they had passed an audition of very high standards that gauged technique as well as musicality. And they were seen to be doing poorly in their classes because their grasp of the subject content was weak. Their assignments were not handed in, and many times they were absent without excuses from classes. But could it be that there were other factors instead of a lack of ambition or basically just a poor attitude towards classes? Could it be that there were other factors that were affecting their results? Well, you will see on the right-hand side of the screen some screenshots of the e-portfolio journal reflections that our first-year YSD students have blogged about, and you will notice that many of them reflect a very low level of self-esteem as well as motivation. And this led to 2 of our research questions. The first being, could it be that a student fares poorly in the above areas because not because they lack aptitude or ambition, but because there are other factors that inhibit their inherent ability from being developed? And could it be that a student's lack of engagement is not an intrinsic quality, but because they are not inspired? So these research questions point to the fact that motivational issues could actually be the root cause of underperforming students. Now, before we embarked on our project, we did some literature review, and there were studies done in both Australia and the UK that have shown similar occurrences as well. So it is shown that classically trained musicians are used to the one-to-one model. And therefore, when they come to college where, this model is expanded upon, it finds that, students lack the diverse skills that contribute to autonomous learning. It is also found that there are variations in the ways that music students at tertiary level understand music as well. These variations range from a focus on the technical aspects of learning and copying teachers to a final conception where personal meanings are expressed through music. So students struggle because teaching approaches don't necessarily match the way they were used to being taught. It was also observed that upon entry to higher music education, young people aspire to be performers or composers, to be the top of their field in the performing area. But there's often a dip of self-esteem and confidence when they notice that, the competition is steep. And all these factors could contribute to a dip in motivation, especially in their first 2 years of undergraduate study. Now, these were studies that were done in Australia and UK, but we found that there were no studies done in Asia or Singapore. And therefore, that led us to this pilot study in the Yongsuto Conservatory of Music, where we picked out underperforming students and put them through a 9-week program to help them, but also simply to observe the inherent motivational issues that were at stake. And so I'll pass the time on to Zhangyi, who will tell us more about this 9-week program.
Thanks, Hui Ling. So in this 9-week program that we planned for these underperforming students who had fared poorly or simply did not complete oral skills theory requirements, we identified or we designed a 3-phase kind of process for the students to discover their own learning styles and identify areas to work on. And then, so in this initial phase, the first 2 weeks of the 9 weeks, they would do this personality test and learning style questionnaires. So these 2 online questionnaires that we found to be quite useful in discovering what one's learning habits and style of learning is, and what's the defined personality is, and to know themselves better, and to use that knowledge to kind of work on motivation and whatever is lacking. And the brainstorming part would be a project that worked on anything that they would like to work on, where they could tap on the 3 of us as coaches. So in the middle phase of about 4 weeks, we had the students in small groups, and also some are in individual. We have meetings weekly with them, and they unfolded their project. This was the part where they really did the project, ranging from just personal and like kind of organizational things like making a Google Calendar, to practice routines and things like that, where the mentors would coach them. Yeah. So these 4 weeks were the core of the 3-phase process. And finally, in the end of this project, the students shared their learning and assessed how successful they were in their own projects, whether it was well designed, whether they did improve their learning, improve their time management, self-management, as well as musical growth.
And so we move on to some of the patterns that we observed. And the first one is a lack of skills and proficiencies, which Karst will talk about.
Yeah, thank you, Hui Ling. Yeah, so we had these different categories of problems that could be at the root of the lack of motivation, and an important category of that was actually about the skills and the proficiencies. And we're roughly talking about 2 different kind of skills and proficiencies, ones that are musically related, the other that are non-musical. And maybe to start with the first one, there were quite a few number of students who are kind of suffering under the assumptions that if... I'm sorry, I think my video is going wrong here. Give me a minute. Sorry. Yeah, there were quite a few numbers of students who were suffering under the assumption that they would be good at certain things like oral skills or harmonic skills, and they would feel right from the beginning. They would feel insecure about these things. And this insecurity is leading to avoidance behavior, trying actually to kind of duck the subject matter rather than attacking it, and simply because they have no idea how to do it. And we see this can feedback actually to what Ling was mentioning, that even now from the students right in the orientation phase, we see in their blogs already these insecurities. And it's very important to let them break through that and let them see that actually all of us are working to improve our level, and we are at different levels when we come in to the school, and we can simply work by knowing how to take the steps and then take step by step to reach the higher level. So on that we had a few interesting projects. One of the students had identified a kind of fear of harmony. You could almost say a kind of fear of the idea that music theory and harmony is something mathematical, and something that this student was telling herself that she could not do this. So what we did actually in her project was to take just a few steps to connect her hearing, to connect her oral imagination, her oral awareness with pieces from the literature, and to actually give her a few really simple steps to get closer to that music and to gain control. Another project was about chamber music, and this was a student who really had problems with the mechanism of responding to each other when you're performing chamber music. So I remember also that was really a very nice project to set up a little pilot, like how are you actually listening to each other? What is your relationship to the score, and how do you actually develop a better playing together? The other category, non-music related skills, I must say most of the students in that category were actually the students lacking language proficiency. So how can students overcome this language barrier, especially since all the classes here in YST are conducted in English? Their native language is not English. They, of course, want to keep up, feel frustrated that they sometimes don't understand even half of what's being said in the class. And they feel lost, and we identified a few students who were actually, like retreating inward, you could say, and it would even reflect in their relationship to their peers. They would kind of, again, avoid to tackle this problem. So a solution that we found, that we tried out, and I think that was quite successful, was to introduce a buddy system. So this student would simply get a buddy, and they would go through the class systems together, and this system not only improved their language skills quite dramatically and quite fast, but it absolutely also increased the motivation, because it gave the sense of doing things together. So avoidance behavior needs to be addressed. We need to make the students recognize this flawed self-image, this idea that they have no talent, and let them see, actually, if you take the right steps, you can improve just like the others. Change that self-image, and then create confidence.
Thank you, Karst. The second kind of issues that we noticed among students were problems with self as well as time management. And this could lead to unrealistic expectations. So in one story, in one case, we had a student who entered as an erhu player, but she could not be admitted to YSD to study the erhu because there was no such major. And so she ended up studying composition. Now, in this major, the feeling of no longer being considered a prodigy actually caused a struggle to find a new voice, because composing was something that was relatively newer to her. And so, she still wanted to be really good at it. She had set a really high expectation for herself, but it was a bit unrealistic at that point in time for her. And so in order to get her to where she wanted to be, we needed to be able to advise her properly in terms of guiding her to break down goals, to start with small goals and work towards the bigger goal. We also helped her to keep a goal book, so she journaled all her goals, and there was a feedback loop generated, so she could always assess where she was in terms of achieving her smaller goals. This journal also acted as a timetable for her, so that she could keep track of how she was progressing. Now, eventually, through more advising as well, advising with her major teachers as well, she eventually switched her major area from composition to production, which was more aligned with her goals. So this was one story of a student who maybe started with a bit of unrealistic expectations. Now, another issue was that sometimes students had inefficient instrumental practice routines. So two of our students actually, one of them was very distracted during their practice due to social media. And then there was another student who struggled a lot with tension while practicing, leading to a lot of frustration and obsessive repetition. So as a result, these students had really long practice hours that were not fruitful. And these long practice hours prevented them from committing sufficient time for their other subjects. So for these two students, what we did was to get them to research more on practice strategies, and our mentors also worked with them to implement these practice strategies. So some of these practice strategies included breathing exercises, designing practice routines with small steps. We also encouraged them to keep a practice journal, and we also got them to be more aware about problem solving instead of blindly repeating their practice. Now, the third issue was a lack of prior life guiding experiences. What we found was that, students come in with different backgrounds and different rigor in academic studies. So there was this particular student who came in and didn't quite know how to manage the rigor of university life. As a result, he had missed a lot of appointments, with our own individual consultations, but consultations with other teachers as well. And it was eventually revealed that his personal schedule was filled to the brim with generic goals, and he was, he had no breaks, and he had less than 7 hours of daily sleep. In fact, much less than that every single day. As a result, he was unable to stick to his schedule, and he was therefore unable to achieve his goals, and he was left feeling very defeated and demoralized. And so for such a student, what we did was we actually had to be willing to guide him to learn certain life skills, and in this case, a very basic life skill of time management, such as creating a timetable and being able to prioritize tasks. We also introduced technology to help with this. So we introduced to him Google Calendar. And for many students, this was actually quite a revelation. Many of them did not quite know of the existence of it, and they did not know how to use it. So for many of such students, it really helped them with managing their academic lives. So the next kind of category that we noticed was students with personal issues, and Zhangyi will be talking more about this.
In one of this kind of and in one of these references that we checked out, they talked about these mastery experiences where perhaps a intervention of to the students of this idea of a growth mindset will help them kind of conquer their fears, in a way motivate them to achieve something that they didn't think they could do. So this idea of expanding their mastery kind of perimeter is quite an interesting idea, and I think a possible application would be at a suitable time, perhaps at the orientation before the first years even begin, would be a nice point to have this sort of idea, just to plant it in their heads that you can learn anything, and this growth mindset idea could perhaps overcome this confidence issue in many of the music students, which are very insecure with many things. In another type of personal issues that we noticed and we observed in just this small group of students were interpersonal relationships, where not just boy-girl relationship, but really just interacting with the faculty members, with the staff, with the teachers and their peers. There were some lack of shall we say connection, and because perhaps there are some underlying personal issues. It made a certain student behave a certain way that made his peers all like avoid him and being unresponsive to him. So this student like in particular was quite problematic. Like in classes, he would behave in a way where the teacher would be offended, and then the fellow students would be kind of ostracizing him in a way. But for the student, we could not dig it out from them as their mentors in this project or as in the classroom, but in a conversation with a mentor that he trusted and respected very much within his department, we found out there were these underlying family issues and problems that were not easily solved, obviously, but he put up a front and all this kind of personal complex issues made him unable to connect to his peers and other teachers. So a lot of this I think motivational issues could be found in personal issues such as these two types of observations that we found.
Thank you, Zhangyi. And so, to sum up, you will see in this mind map here, everything in orange is what we've talked about. It's about what the factors that have affected student motivation. So just to sum up, there was a lack of certain skills and proficiencies. There were problems with self-management or time management, and there were personal issues, which subdivided into smaller points that we covered just now. What we'd like to talk about now is about some possible changes that could aid student motivation, the part in blue. And I think I need to zoom in for this. So here goes. So the possible changes that could aid student motivation, we broke it down into 3 further categories, and that could be how teachers approach to students. How teachers approach students. The second category for that is strategies in advising, and finally we have tweaks in curriculum. Now, under how teachers approach students, teachers needed to be able to put aside assumptions of implicit ability. In other words, we needed to watch our body language and our choice of words when we talk to students, so that students don't feel talked down. They needed to know that even if I don't know something, there is still space for me to grow, and my teacher is encouraging me to do that. Now, under implementing buddy systems, that's the second point under approach towards students. It's very often when we find issues in the classroom or with students, we as teachers want to solve it for the students, but sometimes getting other peers to help is even more powerful, because students see, hey, there's someone who is like me, who is able to overcome it and is able to do it. And so that's the reason why buddy systems can be very powerful. Now, under strategies in advising, we have guiding students towards setting flexible and accommodating goals. We as teachers needed to take a step back from teaching just our subject and be willing to teach life skills such as goal setting. We also needed to find the right fit of advisor for the student, because if the advisor was not the right fit, the students will not actually trust the advisor and therefore will not be willing to open up about personal issues, as Zhangyi had mentioned just now. Now, finally, under strategies in advising, it was also useful to use a student's native language in advising. This helped the student feel comfortable, and to a certain extent also helped students overcome the language barrier that they faced in school. Finally, we have tweaks in curriculum. Now, we noticed that within a classroom, there could be students with many different motivational levels. And so it was important to tailor to these different levels of motivation. We could use blended classroom models, and we could also have differentiated assignments so that students at different points of learning could still feel that they accomplished something. So this is a bit of a summary of some of the changes that we proposed. And I'll hand it over to Karst right now, who will talk about our future outlook.
Yeah, so what is the future outlook and what are our ideas of taking this project forward? First of all, the first category I would say we are planning a new iteration of the project, possibly on a slightly larger scale. And it might be important also to get, in order to get larger samples, to get more feedback, that we try to implement certain elements of this advisory scheme into the existing advisory scheme of the school, which is a larger network. Then furthermore, we want to take lessons learned from this project, and also actually inspiring resources that we have found on the way. For example, I can mention Liz Lerman's critical response process. We are seeing some things that we have, what we did not know about before we started the project, and that in the next iteration could be interesting to try out. Then secondly, and this is also maybe connecting to the feedback that we got from the feedback that we got this year also from the orientation process. Early intervention. This means that maybe some of the things we could have prevented when we had addressed them already in the very first semester of the freshman year. So we're looking for where maybe there are really simple tweaks. For example, as Ling was mentioning, the approach of us as professors to the new students, new batch of students, the way we make them feel about themselves. And then last but not least, partner institutions. We are happy to find similar partner institutions that maybe would like to solve problems together and learn from each other. So anyone here is invited to approach us in case there could be ideas to do a similar thing together. Yeah, I think so. That's basically it. We would like to thank you all for your presence in this session, and there is space for questions, I believe. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Karst, Ling, and Zhangyi. That was very condensed, a lot of information in a few minutes. And I love looking all of the pictures and information, not only the data, the raw data of how students feel, but also the graphic at the end. I wish I can look at it longer. the one that Ling zoom it in. Yes,
Oh,
I love that one.
Slide, right?
Yeah.
It sums up to the theme and sounds like some kind of qualitative research that at the end you come up with a grounded theory of how to approach, and at the end Professor Karst suggests what to do next, and this is very, very helpful and very, very encouraging for us. Let me see if anyone would like to ask you questions, or perhaps if not now, they might come up with the questions in the chat box, and we can come back. If you are not in a hurry, would you like to stay in this room for a little bit longer?
Oh, there's a
Perhaps
question. There's a question.
Yes.
Do you have any
From
suggestion for
Dr. Anotai, do you
Do you have any suggestion for institutions on how to communicate with our staff for this understanding and possibly to find solutions together? Does Karst and Zhangyi, do you want to jump into it first?
Yeah, sure. Just briefly, I think for the three of us, obviously we think this is the best route, but we have to communicate with our colleagues, the policy makers, basically in the institution, or whether they would take this up. And I guess a first kind of initial sharing with the other staff members, the other teachers, would be the first step, sharing with them our findings and our recommendations. And then also, I think the important part is the bit where we pair the students to mentors. How are we doing that? I'm sure they have their way of thinking of how to pair students, new students with new mentors. But I think some of this consideration, like language and cultural sensitivity and things like that, would be very helpful. In some instances, I mean, there's no perfect solution, but a lot of the curriculum wise, we as teachers, we can within our own classes try this out, like differentiated learning. We can teach them a little bit, just how to use technology to help them be more efficient. So all these things can be shared with other teaching staff, and I think with the admin staff, we have to make them be on the same page if we want this to go on and be successful.
I think I also will add, sorry, I think I will also add that any change in any organization, the most effective change starts from small and then to big. Just like goal setting with students, we ask them to start from small goals into big goals. And so,
small steps.
I think, with the change, I think what I found useful is, to start with a small group of staff who are like-minded, and as this change happens and it snowballs, more people will buy into it. And also, to be honest, this project is some of the things that we've observed, but it's in no way right. We are still exploring ourselves, and so when faculty see that we are also still exploring, they are more inclined to jump in and explore with us. We are not taking the approach of, this is the way it should be taught. Right? That's not the approach that we are taking.
Oh, exactly. Maybe I may also add that we hope to have an article published soon about this project. That would be in December probably, no, Ling?
Yeah.
And that might also help actually to spread that or to communicate that to other institutions and see if there's response.
That's good news to hear. I will be your fan club, FC.
Thank you.
To read your
Thank
article.
you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I wish we have more time, but we can come for the next. All right. So
Sure.
Thank you so much for the first group that presented. Okay, let's now move on to our second topic, which is very interesting. Okay, I hope Jeannae is ready to tell us more about her finding regarding the musicking tradition in the remote setup. This is very interesting. Jeannae, would you like to share your screen so we can see? Could you please turn on your microphone, please, Jeannae?
Yeah.
All right.
Am I clear po?
Yes. Could you please introduce yourself a little bit too? Thank you.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm Jeannae Dormido from the College of Music of University of the Philippines, and I'm part of a performing group called Tugma Musika Asiatica, which is my subject or topic for this presentation. So in the midst of art transition, there are several changes that affect our musicking processes as a group. I'm sorry about that. Okay. So in this, it's almost an autoethnography in the way I present or prepare this paper. So since we're having our crisis is sustainability, I observed the Shippers framework, his presentation or his structure of ecosystem of music, which includes the systems of learning music, which talks about the transmission process of the musicians and communities, which tackles the position, roles, or interactions between a group of musicians, context and constructs, the values or its core structure within the group, their repertoire or what traditions they observe, and then the regulations and infrastructure, where this is this is like the hardware, where it it is concerned of about where they perform or where they compose, their practice, where they practice and learn, and then the media and music industry would tackles the dissemination or the commercialization of their music. So, looking into Tugma, let me introduce you a little bit about Tugma. Tugtuga Musika Asiatica is a student-based performing organization under the Department of Musicology of the College of Music, University of the Philippines. It began as a venue for students completing the then Diploma in Creative Performing Music and Arts program in Asian music to further hone their performing skills as part of a music ensemble. DCPMA Asian music students each have their own instrument of concentration, that is, either the kulintang from Mindanao, the Japanese koto, and the Philippine bandura. These three major instruments can also be chosen as a minor instrument of concentration in addition to any instruments from the Chinese sitsu and Kalinga bamboo instruments. Students learning these instruments are taught by local practitioners in a one-on-one apprenticeship manner. These are some of our professors. Ma'am Aga Mayo and Professor Kalanduyan are both locals from Mindanao. So they're one of our local practitioners. Ma'am Aga is one of our professor in our major kulintang concentration, and Sir Kanapia teaches in the minor or ensemble classes, but we also consult him for some we'll go to him or approach him for consultation regarding our repertoire, kulintangan repertoire. Forming Tugtugang Musika Asiatica, also popularly known as Tugma, was initially deemed necessary as a support system for Asian music students who need to accomplish recitals as final requirements before graduation. Even if the students focus only on one instrument, for example, the kulintang, he or she needs to perform it as part of the whole traditional kulintang ensemble called kulintangan. The need for accompanying artists for these music performances are easily sufficed through Tugma membership. Okay, Tugma has been necessary because most of the students coming into the college and enrolling under the Asian music program have Western music education as their background. So when they enroll in the Asian music, it's like the first time for them to see and learn traditional Asian music instruments. So being part of the Tugma as a performing org helps them to hone their skills and their learnings as an Asian music student. So for 4 years, 4 years of Asian music program is very short for us to master the Asian instrument. By joining the Tugma, it kind of fast-tracked our learnings or mastery of the instruments. Okay. As a constant part of Asian music recitals, Tugma's regular repertoire consists of Maguindanao and Maranao kulintangan, Kalinga bamboo instruments and songs from the Cordillera, Japanese koto, Chinese zitsu, Indonesian gamelan, and Korean samulnori. Despite graduating students eventually leaving the group, Tugma continued to grow as more and more students enrolled in the program. From the main purpose of accompanying Asian music recitals, the young group became a regular performer of traditional music in and out of the campus. As its engagement widened beyond the scope of the university to also include corporate and school events, the demand for it to share knowledge and skills encouraged the group to extend its activities to teaching. Under the guidance of its college department, Tugma hosted various workshops, performances, where members teach Philippine kulintangan, Kalinga bamboo music, along with Japanese koto, Indonesian gamelan, and Korean samulnori. Since 2015, Tugma has been conducting regular workshops, teaching the youngest of learners to music educators and fellow music enthusiasts. Tugma became Tugma, being composed mainly of students that belong in a particular music program, made it easier to establish its musicking system and traditions. These students learn from his or her teacher orally and orally. One, one must listen and observe while to learn and understand. The teacher will demonstrate a piece of music, after which the student will repeat it until he fully learns the full piece. This is the manner generally applied in teaching Kulintangan, Kalinga music, and Korean Samonari. They are learned without music sheets. For Japanese Kata music, Chinese Sitsu, and Indonesian Gamelan, learning is guided with each genre's unique notation. However, nuances and techniques that characterize each music scholar, which are hardly notated at all, are still carefully observed. Likewise, Tugma members teach each other how they are taught by their professors. A senior member will demonstrate a rhythmic pattern or how it is performed with the group, while the younger member will try to repeat it after. Even though most music they perform are lessons learned from the professors, Tugma members also learn new things from their colleagues during rehearsals. For example, one non-Kulintang major learned to play a whole Kulintangan piece by heart simply by hanging around in rehearsals. Basically, rehearsals are also time for learning and teaching with each other. The idea is to pass the knowledge they gain to other members. Rehearsals are also time to know each other and be familiar with each other's tempo. It is a crucial thing for accompanies to know the recitals or be aligned with each other as a group to be able to refine their performance. As Tugma's repertoire generally calls for ensemble performances, the rapport between its members grew as they spent more time from rehearsals to casual hangouts, like drinking buddies or going out of town trips. Fallout between members rarely happens as camaraderie continues to develop beyond the college walls. This occurrence allowed Tugma to sustain its organization for a long time. It is like a relationship that is hard to break away from. A student's 5 to 7 years stay as a student and as a Tugma member lets him invest enough time to nurture long-lasting friendships, or even band mates. 2 or 3 members working in a new composition as members of Tugma most likely may end up working together professionally in the future. This harmonious relationships mirrors the communal element of the traditional music they perform. Maler! Yung aso! Excuse me. Musicking activities do not end within Tugma rehearsal times. While Tugma exerts sincere efforts to observe carefully the cultures of the music they perform, growth of its members' artistry is not confined within the traditions. One may graduate and form his own music band with members that may also include Tugma alumni. Their music may reflect the aesthetics of Asian music, but the genre may be contemporary or alternative or jazz, among many others. Before the pandemic broke, Tugma hardly gained new members due to curricular changes. But before I proceed, here's an example of our regular rehearsal routine. Okay, so that's our typical day of rehearsals. And as you can see, there is more movement or more space for improvisations between the performers. Okay. So before the pandemic broke, there is already a change in um, the Department of Asian Music or the Asian Music Program. The DCPMA Asian Music Program was abolished, and there the DCPMA initially requires students to accomplish 2 Asian music recitals. So that's another venue for Tugma to perform or to create music, arrange music from traditional to fusion or new makeup of Asian music aesthetics. But then, with some changes in the college, as Dean Byrne mentioned in the earlier sessions this week, um, and considering some priorities, the DCPMA was reformed to AA, which is a 2-year program, and then it does not require Asian music recitals anymore. Uh, so because of that, there are hardly new members in that year. I think that was 2019, between 2019 and 2020. Some incoming freshmen didn't push through with the application process, and as its membership is reliant on the demands of a study program, we question how long can we exist and maintain our traditions. Losing a percentage of possible new members also decreases the chances of passing the knowledge and skills to the next generation. When the pandemic broke out, Tugma members were forced to go home to their respective homes and provinces. Given that the whole country struggles to establish a reliable internet connection nationwide, there are members living in far-flung places who cannot regularly attend our online meetings. Regular rehearsals hardly continued when we moved to the remote setup. Another difficulty is lack of proper instruments. While some Kulintang and Kata students own their personal instruments, other instruments such as the agong, gandingan, babandil, the bakan, bamboo instruments, among many others, are inaccessible. We also use Chinese tissues, so the gucheng, um, and the other guitars or the moon-shaped guitars from the Chinese ensemble. Are also inaccessible for most of us. On some occasions, members had to resort to alternative materials that may replicate the sounds or tuning of the desired instruments, which are glass bottles, cooking pots, and pans. In the summer of 2020, with the constant need to build an online presence due to the demands of modern-day technological advancements and the growing audience in the virtual space, Tugma did a remote recording and was able to produce 3 performance videos featuring traditional Kulintangan music using alternative music instruments. When the new academic year began in September 2020, Tugma members became preoccupied in their survival of the first full semester of online learning. As the school's demands grew more tedious, Tugma's development became stagnant. No successful productions were completed. Planned Christmas recordings remained as plans. They never happened. Some members had eventually cut off their ties or contacts with the group, while enrolled members focused their energies in their plight to survive the semester. No new semesters were acquired, so literally, Tugma died that period. Early 2021, Tugma was granted funding for a year-long project entitled Banyuhay. Banyuhay is a Filipino word which means metamorphosis. It is particularly chosen to signify the group's efforts to revive its activities and presence in the music industry, but reformed in a way to adjust in the new normal. Reformed or rebirthed, Tugma remains to its commitments to maintain traditions. In the same month, Tugma once again opened its doors to new membership applicants. It is an extremely important event to have the opportunity to invite and earn the interest of freshman students to be part of the group. Essentially, Tugma's continuity relies in its ability to earn new members every year. As teaching continues to be an integral part of Tugma's growth, part of the application process included watching educational videos featuring the traditional music that the group performs. Some Tugma members created self-reported teaching videos that taught about Kulintangan, Gamelan, and Samulnori. Initially, the plan for the Banyuhay project is to produce 3 performance videos and 3 demo podcasts featuring Koto Kulintangan and Kalinga for each month from March to July. Following that is a week-long online Asian music in September, Asian Music Week, and the final concert on Tugma's anniversary month in October. Laid out with special participation of new membership applicants, each production is to be accomplished and published in accordance to its strict timeline. It was a jam-packed, unrealistic target. Tugma's project officers are pressured with the idea that the group must maintain a regular presence online to survive. However, being a small, close-knit community, long distance between the members slowed down the music making process. The idea of disconnection halted the development of camaraderie. Without the physical presence of colleagues and friends, and without the ability to constantly check with each other, some members experienced personal setbacks and mental stress that greatly affected the continuity of the project. After the first 3 videos are published, project officers have to call a halt to reevaluate the goals and reconsider the schedule. Each video had the difficulty to be completed on time. Instead of camaraderie, commotion brought about by misunderstanding is instead attempting to build among the members. Considering that communication only happens online, misconceptions and unclear messages can naturally occur. Other issues also include the delayed release of funds, outsourcing editors, and the unavailability of instruments. Battling against Banyuhay's near failure, Tugma sought advice and help from the department professors and the college dean. One solution proposed was bubble recording, where performers will perform together live but with ample distance against each other. Ideal venue will be the College of Music or somewhere in an outer space within the campus. However, without the assurance of safety, the team cannot risk the students and their families to the possibility of COVID-19 infection. So we continued with remote recording. While we questioned the sustainability of the project, the meeting with the professors and the college dean brought light during the struggles. Number of videos to be released was reduced, allowing ample time for the production process, and instruments needed were provided through the personal collection of the professors, while the insightful suggestions and commendation by the dean were more than helpful. He also led Tugma to borrow rare instruments from the college property. So a little review with the changes in the ecosystem of musicking of Tugma. So from oral to oral, we now produce pre-recorded videos who have very minimal space for minimal to none at all improvisation. And then our musicians and communities shifted from live rehearsals to online meetings. The context and contrast instead remains that we keep on our commitment to observe the cultural details of our traditional repertoire. And then for the infrastructure, instead of the outdoor venues or live performance halls, we shifted to social media platforms. And for the dissemination of our music, sorry, that's a typo. We could we also post our performance videos on our social media platforms, but now it has become our main thing to express or communicate or to showcase our performances. The struggle for one performing group to survive traditions online is real, and there's no end for this battle as long as the virus persists, forcing us to work remotely. The reality of the situation is the virus is here to stay. Regardless of the presence of the vaccination program, social precautions are still to be strictly observed. Unfortunately for the Philippines, it doesn't manufacture its own vaccines, so most likely it will be a longer time for us to recover. Then there's the continuous mutation of the virus, producing multiple deadly variants. This also questions the competency of the existing vaccines. Are they enough to prevent or fight them? Moreover, the government lowering down safety protocols does not mean that it is already safe out there and that we are going back to the normal. People should remain responsible to keep the physical distancing. People are responsible to keep themselves safe and keep their families and loved ones safe. Community gatherings may not continue to happen as they are pre-pandemic and for a long time. This new normal, the remote setup, will be our normal for many years to come. And for sure, the virus is here to stay, sadly. With that realization in mind, Tugma continues to develop its system and organization as it adjusts to the new normal. Currently, the Banyuhay project and membership application process are in their developing stages. The team slowly but surely keeps its progress going. As for this moment, there are no exact solution yet as to how Tugma will survive its traditions online. However, three things are certain. Tugma will continue its efforts to conserve Asian music, seek ways to closely observe its culture and traditions, and with any performance and project it makes, it will be a service to the community. So I don't really want to, despite of all these developments and changes in our group, there's no really an answer yet. We're still in our experimental stage. So I don't want to end this presentation on a negative note. So despite the challenges, there are some achievements or breakthroughs within the group or by the group. We were able to produce a new composition. One of our members produced a new composition, and what's important about this is that it was, I think, the first composition that the team produced that is based on traditional patterns. What we usually do before is we just arrange. So the canvas is already the traditional patterns that we already perform, and then we just rearrange it or put it over some modern or contemporary rhythms or contemporary texture like that. And so this one is a very new composition, a traditional composition, and but then it was also there was a voice arrangement also over it. The voice naman is based on the traditional Western vocal arrangement. It's very simple, but kulintangan traditionally is not accompanied with singing. So this is kind of a new contemporary in a way. So traditional and contemporary, a combination of traditional elements from East and West, but also a contemporary. Sorry. As you see, there's a use of this drum set. That's not a traditional instrument, but because we lack instruments, we opted to use other options like this drum set and the chair you saw earlier, and some cover of the cooking pots. Another thing is this oops, oh no, okay. Hugong is a Hugong or Resounding Conversations in Koto. So this is one of the first installments of the Banyuhay project. This is like an audiovisual podcast where the Koto ensemble group was able to discuss their journey in learning koto, or the Japanese koto. Part of this video also features our teacher, Dr. Hiroko Nagai, introducing a very comprehensive information or lessons about Japanese koto. And then last and second to the last is one of the last Asian music recital that the college will be producing, I guess, or the Asian music that Tugma will be performing for. This because we have transferred into the online setup, and there is our musicking process is limited. This Asian music recital is reformed or made up into an autobiographical documentary. So the recitalist, one of our members, will be performs the required music, but he also discusses in some parts his personal stories or journey as an Asian music student who shifted from violin student and composition major.
Gongs arranged in ascending pitch order. Although the instrument is shared by many of the different ethnic peoples in the Mindanao region, the traditions, practices, and repertoire associated with the instrument may vary. The kulintang I've come to learn is specifically that from the Maguindanao tradition. In Maguindanao,
Okay. Lastly, this is the team was also able to produce tutorial videos initially for teaching the applicants. So it's like in a way a replacement to the live sessions that we usually have. So instead of meeting personally, we would just send them videos. And this is kind of new because this is pre-recorded, and now everything is documented, unlike before where everything is just passed orally.
Right.
So this is like something that we can keep in our archives.
Mm-hmm.
There. Thank you. I'll be sharing the link of the Asian music recital for those who are interested. And so that ends my presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jeannae. I would love, I really love to look at it at the bright side, although there are a lot of challenges, as you said, and my heart is with you, truly with you. I'm sure that many of the audiences today are still working hard with multicultural music and trying to save our folk music as long as we can and as hard as we can, by looking at the adjustment that you have encouraged your students and the group. I think not only the video making is much progressing, and it's going better and better for every platform in music students. Also, everything is documented, as you said, and that is a really nice way to learn, to study, and to keep records. I would like to say thank you for all of the music teachers around ASEAN that you are playing a major part in preserving it. Perhaps we can make connection with Thai musician so that some of the Thai instruments will be there in your group too. Yeah, in your Tugma. Is that
Actually,
right?
we have some Thai instruments over there, but we just don't have teachers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we had
Okay.
Shermanov before. I think they were donated from Shermanov's university. I'm not really sure, but we just didn't have regular Thai teachers. So they're there in the museum of the College of Music.
Okay. Thank you so much. And
so we look forward to that.
For the website or the YouTube channel, is that going to be last for
Yes.
for good, right? DEAI and
That's the
Asian. Mhm.
yeah. They
Um,
I think that's
yeah,
the title
DI.
of the that's the title of the Asian music recital that we last
Wonderful.
performed.
Yeah. If you don't mind, could you please put the link into the chat box so
I will.
many of us will be able to follow you? All
Yes.
right.
Thank
Okay.
you.
You are very welcome. What an uplifting, and thank you for sharing. We need to hold hand, give a hug, pat on the shoulder so that all of us can move forward, even though there are challenges, despite the challenges. Okay, thank you so much. And I think it's about time to introduce you to our last but not least presentation, and she is ready with us right now. Chalankorn will be
Yes.
presenting, yes, raising awareness of 21st century musician skills through board game. Alrighty, this is
Okay.
going to be fun.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready, I give a microphone to you. Could you please introduce yourself to the audience a little bit?
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Firstly, can you say that skin, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, hello everyone. My name is Chalankorn Kadenoum, or you can call me Jang, and I'm just graduate from PGVIM, Princess Galyani Institute of Music. Yes, and today I'm here to present my thesis on the topic called Raising Awareness of 21st Century Musician Skill through Board Game. And I will start with why I'm doing this topic. I divide it into 4 groups, which is the first one, why is TCM, and we will find it now why is TCM. And then second one, demand and supply. Third, COVID-19, and last one, interview. So I'll start with the first one, why is TCM. Okay, say hello to Dr. Chen again. He was my advisor, yes, over there. I see that I studied there for my bachelor degree, and when I was about year 3 sem 2, I think I took this class called musical pathway from Prof. Chancellor, yes, and he showed me this slide. So this slide came up in the class with this question: future ready classical musician. So I will give some a bit of the idea of the slide. So it's the slide explain about what we should concern more than just playing instrument skill, and also to make me got question like we really need other skill more than just performing. It shows how classical music evolves in Singapore. Seeing this play from Saket and developing country like Singapore, right? It's triggered me to look back in my music scene in my country, yes, which is Thailand. So I came back and see what is happening in Thailand classical music scene. So this is the second point of why I'm doing this thesis. About 1,500 graduate degree in music performance per year, yes, per year, only like music performance, not include like education, something like that. But we got only 2 or 3 professional orchestra. But I mean not include army band or like. So from this I feel like I have to do something. I have to do something for other generation, something like that. And then next, even worse, like as all we know, as a musician, we got affected heavily from COVID-19. In Thailand, we got the sentence saying that like music are the first group that need to stop, but also the last group that will open, something like that. And I think it's so true, yes. So after that, I went to interview the stakeholder in music industry, which is graduate student, teacher, employment, and also college student. And there are some part of the interview that I get from them. Okay. the industry still does not provide enough opportunity for musicians. Working as a musician does not provide that much of a job security, and there has been a lack of music position for newly graduate musicians unless they create their own, something like this. This is some part. Okay, so from the interview that I did, right, the answer is a bit clearer that what I want to do, what I actually want to do. Yes, so to raising awareness for 21st century musician skills. To be honest, the music industry has too many different groups that I have to narrow down my focus to college students as my target group to make it more participatory. But at the interview, right, I also got a big comment from someone, like really big comment to make me feel like, oh, should I still doing this, something like that. So the comment, this is kind of comment like she said like, okay, you don't have to do anything, our student will decide, how to say it, will prepare their life by themselves after they graduate. Yes, and they have to fall many times first, then they will realize life is harder than what they think, something like that. And I feel like, no, I feel okay, it's true, yes, but is there any way that we can prepare them before they will graduate? Just like the how to say, the presentation this morning from Dr. Chen, that like how to prepare them, something. So I know everyone need to get injected somewhere somehow, but how about if like we can prepare them first, so the inject might be like lesser. So okay, at least for now I know that I need to give them experience, but how should I give them experience? After I got my answer, like I went to review musician in the past and present. So for the musician in the past, such as Beethoven case, actually he got so many multiple skills. You might forgot about, like, he was a publisher, entrepreneur, musician, and composer, right? And present musical case would be Sarah Willich, a horn player from Berlin Philharmonic Orchestra. She also could do more than just performing skill, even though she like such a high level of orchestra player. Yes, but she could do more than that. Like such as she is passionate about music education and make full use of digital technology and social media to reach audience. So more than just, how to say, normal musician does. Okay. And then after that, I got review 21st century skill in general, because it's got so many kind of 21st century skill. I see it first in the century, what skill do we need, and then come later to AEC learning outcome from Association European. Yes, so this one is like I would call it AEC learning outcome. It's like a guideline for college music student in European. Yes, and then since I want to do something in Thailand, right, to make it impact, I see a bit closer to myself, which is PGVIM learning outcome, because PGVIM learning outcome might already like pursue all the contacts in Thailand, so I don't need to adapt or how to say or review all of the content in Thailand again. So here we go. I designed a board game called Master of Music board game. And why board game? Because board game is emotional intelligence development activity. Purpose are to improve skill and knowledge, which provide entertainment and creativity. Increasing popularity among university students. Used in educational purpose. Imitate real situation to create player experience. Okay, so after I decide to do board game, right, I have to go through 4 aspects, which is first one, content. So as I told you, right, I got 13 skills that I analyzed from PGVIM learning outcome. And second one, theme. So I choose a simulation of classical music industry, negative, positive situation analyzed from the interview. Mechanic, strategic planning, resource management, and last one, play test. So I tested the games for three times before we run it off. Yes. So first is the board game expert, and yes, I got a lot of comment from this time. Yes. And then second player test is the music student. Most of the player have no experience, so somehow it's quite difficult to someone that never played board game before because the strategy of board game. And last one, still play with music student but different group. Yes. So after this playtest, this is the final version of our board game. Okay, so for now I will explain about board game that I was talking about for 5 minutes, I think. Yes, firstly we got main board that include music school, recording studio, rehearsal room, practice room, rehearsal hall, stage, lounge, and park. Yes, like I try to put all the real thing in this main board game. Yes, but yes, more than that, we got e-learning. Yes, because at that time like COVID really heavy. Yes, and then for this skill card trade area that will rotate in the game. Every single turn will rotate card. And how to say, we call this like opportunity, because even though we got like so much money, we got so many skill, we got a lot of connection, but doesn't mean we have opportunity to do something that you want to do. Yes, so this one is represent like opportunity or chance. Yes, that's why it had to rotate. And then event card also will be rotated. Like some like we go some event, it's not always the same. So event cards we include like music festival, symposium, something like this in the event card. And then token trade area is here, or we call it market. So where a player found like what he or she wants to buy something or exchange from other player. This is the area that they can win. And this one, if you see here, right, we've got like the circle there. If like this, we call it free spot. And if it's like this, we call it special spot. So for the free spot and special spot means free spot, everyone can put their token there. But for the special spot, a player might need something before go in that spot, or some character that will get their benefit go to that spot. We will see killer in the next slide, but just remember this first. It's a bit hard as well. Like okay, maybe I can give some example to make it killer. Like studio on the top right hand, my right hand, I don't know others. Yes, a lot there got special spot. At that area we call it studio. Yes, music studio. So when we, okay, let's say I want to go in studio, the skill that I have only music performing. I have performance skill, so I can't do anything over there, like something about sound engineering or other things. That's why we need it to be special spot. Yes, so before I can go in, I might need to learn about how to work, how all the machine works, something like that. Or same with music school. we can't like anyhow go there and yes, I want to teach because I know how to play. No, it costs a lot of things that we have to learn how to teach. Yes, that's why it's special sport. But for like some park, some how to say, some stage, something like that can just go. Yes, so it's related to our reality. Okay, next, character board. We will explain the character that who are you in the game and explain a bit about your character and also benefit in this character board. We also got 2 events beside the face. Yes, that the player need to do to win the game, because this game is require 2 events on the character board to be the winner. And this character board I made it from my colleague first Master of Music first year of PGVIM learning, PGVIM program. Yes, so we got me also. Okay, next, game piece and token. I know it's a bit hard, but I try. We got 4 color of game piece. This one we call it game piece. Each color got 7 piece. This game piece we explain is at a palm capital. So in the beginning of the game, everyone will got different color, but everyone will got 7 piece. So 1 piece represent 1 day. So for the game, right, for 1 turn, we will do like 1 week for 1 turn, something like that. So this game piece it means time capital. Yes. Second one, money token. This one nothing, is just money. And for this we call it experience token or EXP, because before you going to do something, you might have to try, have to learn, or like have to study about it by your own first. Yes, so we call it experience. And last one, people token. This one is mean social capital or connection. So how to say, to make our life success, something, or to make game to be the winner of the game. All of this will be really important part. And you won't get anything the same source. Only thing that you get the same is like reality, which is a game piece. We got 7 days the same for 1 week. But other than that, like about money, experience, connection, all of us like cannot combine. Yes, this is what the game try to teach. Try to use the experience. Yes, and then so in the beginning, right, we got the same 7 days a week, and how you manage your time to collect all the stuff that you need to be the winner. That is it. Okay, and this is skill card, and every single card you got explain meaning of each skill, the meaning that I interpret from PGVIM learning outcome. So all the skill, maybe some skill still be some kind of performing, but we got other skill as well. This is not all just some part. Yes, and then event card. This game, all the character will require to do 2 events. That's what I told you. And each event will need what skill. It will also write down in the card, like back behind the card. This one just give some idea to the student that why they need other skill. Because some of the event, right, we can, if you want like here Q&A event, maybe like we need more than 1 skill to be like why we are here now. Like Dr. No time, I need a lot of skill to be this event happen. Of course, it's not only how to say, teaching skill. Yes, I don't know if she's here or not. okay, but yes, life is not easy always like that. Every single turn, all the player need to pick a card that calls situation card, and this situation card we got both way, which is positive and negative way. Also some card will impact only a player who picked the card, or some card will impact all the player around the circle. Like whoever play with us will affect this card. Such as COVID-19 situation, it's impossible if like, oh, I got this card and it only affect me, right? like now, yes. And then this is how board game works. So I will spend. Okay. You will got a card called action card. This one will be like a guideline for the player to play. Yes. So the first one, put skill card and event card on the main board. And then your character will be in front of you. And then you will put your game piece on the spot like this. And then collect the sword that you might get to put the game piece. So this one we put the game piece on the spot that I want the sword from there. Like this one, I'm not sure. Like I have to, I'm not sure. Like over there it's like shopping shop something. It's a shop maybe. That's why I collect money. Maybe I go there for work and I get the money back. Yeah. And after that, go for the situation card. Everyone need to pick one. Last step is to buy skill or open an event card in front of the player. Whoever can open 2 event cards on their character board will be the winner of the game. Yes. Okay. Okay, so we will go to like the result first. So for the game, if like a bit confused or whatever, I got my contact already. I got my contact, so you can contact me anytime about my board game. We will talk about this next. Okay, what is its impact? So this is some of the event that I have done for this project. I did how to survive by invite all the professional in other industry to help music students such as marketing, personal branding, business, music production, recording, finance, and music therapy, like to how to say, to suggest the college student that like our life got more choice than just paying. Actually, the aim is to make them aware. That's it. And Master of Music board game. I did a board game tournament. And yes, this is board game tournament. And I went out and what talk. This one is to see like how our seniors survived at that time compared to now, and how the music student prepare for their life after graduate, something like that. So to see like maybe at the time they go that way, maybe can survive, but nowadays not like that only because of the contact, something like this. This is some of the feedback from students that got play the music board game. First one, I have learned that we should improve musical skill along with other skills. Yes, performance skill is important, but it's better if we integrate with other skill. The game show overview of other factors apart from our talent, such as business, creativity, support from outside, something like that. So this is what I received. Yes. And playing experience. Okay, I divide it into 4 ways, which is first one, skill card. So skill learn. They will learn critical thinking, like how they're gonna deal with the situation that they face when they pick the situation card. And interpersonal social engagement. From like they have to deal with other players, sometimes like to suffering the skill card that I call it opportunity, something like that. And then lesson learning, as I told you before, in the card we got explain such as positive card will say like this skill can offer you something, or negative card will show you like why it's negative. If like for example like I have a job that I have to play jazz, some kind of jazz, but my whole life since I was born I study like music, Western music. So this card I won't get benefit from this card because I can't do jazz, something like that. Yes. And then for my future plan, anyway, is into 3E. First, export. I want to export and keep learning other necessary skills of the future. Extend, go on with my board game. I want to develop my board game to online platform or even like some, if it's possible, I want to develop by using like NFT based. I don't know if everyone knows about it, like cryptocurrency based, yes, something like that. And I want to develop this my game to like, how to say, in online platform, and I want to create a system. Yes, so in this part, I don't know you will listen or not before this, but this part really important. Whoever wanna do, whoever like interesting, like interested with this, can like contact me. I will leave my contact later. Yes, so we can do something together, or maybe even you can contact me and can I help you try your board game, something like that also can. Yes. And last one, expand, do something even bigger, connect to the world and inspire other. Yes. I still love to inspire other, like what here I am now, something like this. So don't hesitate to like contact me. Yes, so this is my contact, and now I am in the circle, like I want to create my board game, another board game, which is we call it with Dr. Notai, second version of this one. Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes. So whoever want to join us also can. Yes. So I'm thinking
Is
to
it
do.
gonna be built on top or the opposite or the new one?
Yes.
The new.
So it's should be the same concept, but we've got something, how to say, something special add on. Yes.
Very good.
Something
Love
like
it.
that. And yes, in the end, I might wanna do it as a product, something there. So whoever wanna join us, yes, whoever
You
wanna
should
join us,
make copyright before anyone would do a copy.
that is why we have to
It's a project.
build a new
It's
one.
an innovation that you can make a register to the copyright officer. So, wow, wonderful. Is that
Okay, so I'm done. Thank you
you
so
are
much.
done, and we are inspired and we are aware, and I'm so happy that we have new comers like the graduates from PGVIM that has quality in not only the music performing but also the technology. I really love and enjoy your presentation. Your PowerPoint is สวยมาก wonderful.
Thank you so much.
There is a question. What is your strategy in using the board game to raise people awareness? Oh, do you have any strategy? Where can they find the board game, or will it be further developed? You already answered that. You will further develop it into there.
Yes.
Is it
yes.
going to be an application?
That's
Online
what
application?
that's what I wish. So that's it. Actually, I'm looking for a team that can help us to do this together. Yes.
Just like a company. Yeah.
Yes. So
I
I'm
think
really happy.
In my opinion, I think you can apply for any startup project or a funding outside. I think this is not only for fun, but it's increase a collaborative and awareness of many things. I can do a marketing for your
Wow.
for your board game. All right.
But like if like have any question, I know today is like how to say I couldn't explain it very well because of the strategic of the game. I do
Right.
I do
Here
accept
comes the
it, and I'm
second.
sorry so
Right.
much. I'm so
The
sorry about
second
it.
question already asked about what you are saying, that they asked you to explain more about how to play and how to win in this game. So to be short, how to win this game, you have to gain more money. Is that right?
You have to gain. You have to do two event on the collector board to be the winner of this game. So by doing that event, you have to buy the skill that we call opportunity skill. But before before you can buy all the opportunity skill, right? You have to collect all the source, which is money, connection, and experience. Yes,
So at the end,
to buy.
such as at the end of 1 week or 2 weeks, we can pause the game and count the card, the activity card that each person has, and that will be like a pause for one phase. Is that
we
similar to what you are
normally
thinking?
we normally won't pause the game until someone open to how to say to event on their board, their own collector board. That will be the winner. Yes. A bit
So
confused.
how long would
I know.
normally this game would take?
Wow, 45 minutes above, I think.
Above 45 minutes. Yeah, because you have to put in the box, right? How many person and how long? So how many person?
Normally we play this game like 4 person.
4 person, 45 minutes. All right, put in the box and sell it. I think it is easily. Be interested to in
So
anyone.
like, I have to say,
right.
All the player can experience like they can get inject before the reality. That's it.
Yeah. Wow. Can you look at the chat box? And Jeannae said, "Congratulations, great job."
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Oh, I'm sorry today. I'm not really feeling well. But
Oh,
I
really?
try my
Are you
best
okay?
about explaining my body.
Yeah. Yeah. When you put the presentation and it moves, the pieces moves, I think that's very helpful. It's very helpful to look at the point and the people walk around. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Your address, would you mind put it in the chat box, or if not, we can find it in the on the website also. Okay. All right. If there is no any other questions, I don't see any other questions. Last but not least, anyone on in this room, we have 33 listeners. So here, Chalankorn has already got her email in here. Do you have any website? I heard that all of the PGVIM students have their own website that we can all visit your portfolio. Is that right? Sure.
Yes.
I will follow you too. Okay. All right. So Jeannae is still here with us. Chalankorn is here with us. I think times is up, but I think we have met each other in a very good way and a very inspiring way. I hope our meeting have made a big smile in your heart to move on, to go forward. And thanks to PGVIM to make this conference for all of us to meet and share. Do you have anything to say before we leave, Jeannae?
No, I got nothing.
You got nothing? Jeannae, would you like to say something before we say goodbye and leave this session?
I just want to thank you again for inviting me and for it's nice to be here talking with you and sharing our struggles and achievements, during
Uh-huh.
this
Right.
hard time. Yeah.
Sharing not only achievement but also struggle will
Yeah.
help us go through it.
And
Yeah.
also, it's also been encouraging between
Mhm.
colleagues and musicians or researchers in this.
Yes. Well, as I said, my heart is with you. So we are friends, we are colleagues now. No matter how far we are right now, looking at the bright side, we are so close to each other. Otherwise, we have to wait for the plane to fly back and forth, right? Okay, so thank you so much for the presenters, all of them. And thank you for the audience for listening and sharing. We are still have more to come in the next session. Hope to see you tomorrow again. Goodbye. ขอบคุณค่ะ สวัสดีค่ะ